Hello everybody and welcome to Purgatory Ironworks. My name is Trent and today we have a viewer request. We're going to be making a holdfast for the anvil. If you saw one of our last videos, the barbecue fork, you saw me actually slitting a piece of steel. But the problem was every time I hit it, the joker slid around and it was a pain in the butt to do. That's what a holdfast is for. A holdfast allows you to pin something to the top of the anvil to make punching or slitting a lot easier when you don't have a buddy to hold the piece of steel for you. So there's a couple of caveats in here I need to kind of get out of the way. There are a lot of different versions of these hold downs, not just for the one that drives in, but in some of the old books I have seen ones that are mechanical. I have seen ones that are spring-loaded. I mean, I have seen dozens of different types, and they all work to some degree. I've even seen some that are just gravity. That's just basically a big hook that's got a weight on it that you set on top of the anvil. Again, they all work, kind of. There's the simple truth is there's not a great solution for holding something on the top of the anvil unless you have a buddy to do it for you. But these will help you get by. The second thing I want to tell you about is you're going to be working with some much heavier steel at this point. If you're a beginner, you really don't want to work anything that's over 3/8 square. For a 2-pound hammer, that's plenty to work. When you start getting on up into 1/2 inch, outside of maybe doing just a tip on a tent stake or something like that, it's a lot of work. There's been many a beginner that said, yeah, I'm just for this demonstration I'm going to make a railroad spike knife, and a railroad spike knife is usually either 5/8 or usually 3/4, and 5 minutes later and your demonstrator's having a stroke like this because their arm's cramping up. It's not good. So in this particular video, because my hardy hole, excuse me, it's not my hardy hole, it's my Pritchell hole, the round hole, is 3/4 of an inch. The stock that I'm going to be using is going to be 5/8, an 1/8 of an inch smaller, because it needs to be loose but not too loose. So this is 5/8 round stock at 20 inches. And that's going to be kind of the first problem you're going to run into. You got to measure a Pritchell hole, and you want something that's a little bit smaller, the next closest size down that you can get. This is going to present a problem for a lot of you just starting, because like 5/8 round is not a very common size. And if I, just like with this, I cut this from a 20-foot bar because every now and then I use this stock size. But if you're just beginning, going to Lowe's or Home Depot, it may be tough for you to find one of these weird sizes. Your only other option is to actually find a bigger size and hammer it down. And buddy, let me tell you what, by the time you hammer 8 inches of this from 1 inch down to 5/8, you're dead. You're a dead man, okay? So just keep in mind that we're working with some super heavy steel, and even though it may seem like it's it may cost you a little extra to get a full bar, it may be worth your time and your money just to buy the stock size instead of trying to hammer something down that's going to fit, because it's a lot of work. All right, having said that, so I'm going to do this in the most simple way that I can. And we're going to make this super rough and basic, and then I'm going to show you one that's a little bit better done. With this bar, very simply what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on this end, and I'm simply going to spread this out so we have a little bit of a presser foot. I'm going to make a bend up here, a bit of a U, and that should be it, and I'll show you how it works. But let's take a heat first. We're just going to flatten this guy out. Doesn't need to be crazy. That's about a little more than 1 inch. And then I'm going to bend it up at a bit of an angle. And we can adjust this a little bit later, but that's kind of what we're looking for right there. I'll come in and take a heat here, and then now we need to bend this at an angle. Now, when I say that we're going to end up bending this, you may be inclined to try to bend it over the horn of the anvil, and you certainly can do that, but it's going to be haphazard to say the least. As you get more and more skilled, you really need to start looking toward the tools that do the job better. It can go over the horn of the anvil. You're going to fight it. It's going to be kind of freehand. You'll hear me mention freehand very often, but a way better to do these types of bends, a way better. I'm missing some words there. A way better way to do these type of bends is to use the appropriate tools. And that's where things like this, which is a bending hardy, and this, which is a bending wrench, come into play. This allows you to make a controlled bend, and control is the key word there. When you're sitting there flailing away on the end of the anvil, if you're good, you can get it to do right, but you're still just kind of like flopping a wet noodle at it. If you have a way to slowly bend it into shape, you have control, and you're going to come out with a better product. And normally, not only is it going to be a better product, you're going to have it out faster. And of course, you know me, this is my business. Efficiency is key. You can see we have our heat right here. So now I'll come in with my bending wrench. And again, this is some pretty heavy steel. This is 5/8, but you can see how easily I'm able to bend it and how controlled that bend is. I'm going to straighten this up a little bit, and you can see that my presser foot's a little out of place, so I'm going to bend that a little bit down, so hopefully it'll lay flat when it's in place. There we go. That simple. Now let's cool this off, and let's see if we can't make her work. We've got a flat plate that for some reason I need to hold into place. This piece is going to set right there, and held pretty good. Now again, you can see that it's still going to wobble a little bit, but it's held in place far more than if it was just going to be flopping up there with nothing on it. Now you can see that we've got a bit of a short arm here, but I can really tighten this joker down. Still going to have that little bit of a wobble. It just depends on how much surface grip you've got on there. And plus the top of the anvil is going to be nice and polished. So, but again, not too bad. And then if you want to take it out, you simply come up to the bottom of it. A couple taps. Just a couple damn taps, and it comes right out. Just like that. Voila. And again, this is the super basic version. You don't have to do anything to up here. You can just put your foot on there, and she works like a charm. I usually make these in a couple different sizes because not always do I want to have it, you know, this close. Sometimes I need it a little bit further over. So having a set on hand can be very handy. So if you take the plunge and you actually buy the steel that you need, you know, you'll end up making 3 or 4 of these for whatever you're doing. Now, the one other thing that I want to show you is that before I did this video, I made one with a little bit of extra oomph. Now, again, I cheated because I said, you know, to hell with this. I turned on the power hammer to make one that was a little more nicely tapered, and it's got a different shape to it. So let me show you the difference between the one that I did the super quick way and the one that I took my time on and moved a little bit more metal. Okay, you can see this is our original one here, the one we just did. And here is the one that I took the time to forge out on the power hammer. You see we've got a lot more length on here. And if you'll notice, the foot looks kind of funky. Well, that's because the foot has been bent up into a curl like this. So whereas this guy is great for flat stock and things of that nature, this guy helps you hold down round stuff. So now, if you had a piece of round stock, and this is a piece from a previous video, let's get the flat one here. You locked it in. Actually, that's a little high. It's not even wanting to lock. There we go. It's held, but again, it slips really easy, and that's not great. What's better is the fact that in my other one, because it has that curve in there, it will set on top and hold much better. Now, here's the other thing. Did you notice the sound difference when I hit this one? Because we've got a longer arm right here, and because it's a little bit thinner, it's got a little extra give and a little bit of extra flex to it. And so, you've noticed it cinches way easier than this one that doesn't have that much give. So it's something to take into consideration. Kind of what makes this whole thing operate is the fact that it flexes a little bit and it binds in the hole. So the shorter you go with the less flex in there, it's not going to want to bite as easily. And that's one of the reasons I try to make the longer ones. We've got the nice thin taper here, and also adjusting your foot to whatever stock that you're working on makes a huge difference, because now look at that. It is really in there. Come on, you joker. Ta-da! Now, one last thing before we are done with this. Notice that even in something as simple as a Holdfast, that I'm actually customizing the Holdfast to the exact size stock that I'm using. You've heard me complain over and over again about your tongs. You make tongs to fit specific size stocks. Almost everything in the shop really needs to be custom fit to the size stock you're working on. If you're a beginner, you really need to zero in a couple of sizes of stock, normally 3/8 square, and just like with the barbecue fork, 1/2 inch by 3/16. Those two pieces of stock are going to make the majority of the things that you're going to sell. So you need to have tongs and Holdfast, i.e. material handling equipment, specifically for those two sizes of stock. That's what's going to allow you to be able to make it quickly, effectively, and you're going to learn a lot more about it simply because you're going to spend more time hammering and making than you are fiddling around trying to hold on to it. If you're a beginner and you've had a buddy over and it's his first time and you've got a little bit of knowledge on him, and you see him sitting there trying to grab with the tongs and it's just not working well, then he smacks the knife in the flat jaws and it goes flying up and everybody says, "Ooh, that was close." You know what I'm talking about. The more time you're fumbling around trying to get a hold on what you're working on, you're not working on your piece. Tooling is absolutely king in blacksmithing. So when you're making your Holdfast, when you're making your tongs, please, please, please try to make them to specific stock sizes. You're going to come out way ahead of the game. Now, the reason I did this one in such a simple manner is because I wanted everybody to see how easily it could be done. You'll have an opportunity to play with this design. It'll work. If you're not getting it to bind, you either need to kind of upsize your shank a little bit here, or you need to make yourself a longer arm. You can play with the angle here. There's a lot of different ways to get this to work. So, feel free to experiment. I don't think I've ever seen a standard Holdfast. There are a lot of different types in the woodworking industry, or at least used to in the woodworking industry. There's some very nice ones. They have square tops and round pegs. But understand those require a tremendous amount of forging. And because this stock is heavier, it's one of the reasons I did something so uber simple so that you could see how it works and you'd have the opportunity to play with it. It is absolutely worth the $30 you're going to spend to get a full 20-foot bar of this, because you're going to want 4 or 5 of them. If you're just starting out, that means that most of the time you're going to be by yourself, and that's a very handy thing to have. Now, the reason I don't have these in the shop is because I have a 3/4 inch work table over there, and in that work table, guess what I have? I actually have places to clamp and hold down things, so I don't need a Holdfast. In fact, had I not been filming the barbecue fork on the anvil the other day, and I've been doing it actually in the shop, it'd been on the table pinned with a very heavy mechanical clamp. So very handy. It's just in my shop I've got better solutions, but for what you're doing, absolutely worth the $30 investment for getting a piece like this. So guys, there you go again. Got to say another big thanks to the Patreons that have been coming on board. We have been burning white hot in the past couple of weeks. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. Again, like I said, we're cranking out content every day. I hope you guys are happy with it. And of course, January is the big experiment. We're going to do this to the end of January and see what the numbers say. But man, feels good to be back in the shop. It's awesome to get to talk with you guys, especially in the comments, and get to be able to actually do some of these videos. In fact, the question about doing a Holdfast was asked yesterday. So it's awesome to be able to respond this quickly. So outside of that, you guys, you know the routine. Go forth and comment, for the algorithm compels you. Outside of that, you guys be safe, be happy out there, and I will see you later.